Some women openly mocked him, while others laughed in his face when he nervously tried to strike up conversations. "Look at you," one scoffed, "a petty trader thinking he can court someone like me. Go back to your little shack." The rejection stung, and there were days Stanley wondered if he had made a mistake leaving Lagos. In one of the urban cities of Lagos, Nigeria, lived a young man named Stanley, the only son of the affluent Abaka family. Despite the luxuries surrounding him, Stanley yearned for genuine companionship. He often observed how wealth influenced relationships, leading to insincere affections. Determined to find a wife who would love him for his character rather than his family's fortune, Stanley devised a plan. One evening, during a family dinner, Stanley announced, "Father, Mother, I've decided to travel to a distant town to seek a bride." His mother, Adeobi, looked up, concerned. "But why, Stanley? There are many suitable women here in Lagos." Stanley replied, "I want to find someone who loves me for who I am, not for our wealth. To do that, I must leave behind our name and riches." His father, Benjamin, nodded thoughtfully. "If this is your wish, my son, we support you. But be cautious, the world beyond our circle can be harsh." With his parents' reluctant blessing, Stanley prepared for his journey. He adopted the guise of a petty trader, dressing in modest clothes and carrying only a small bag with essentials. Stanley arrived in the vibrant town of Mboji, nestled in southeastern Nigeria. The town was known for its bustling markets and close-knit community. To blend in, Stanley took up residence in a modest compound and opened a small provision store on a busy street near the market. Day by day, Stanley stocked his store with essentials like biscuits, canned goods, and beverages. The townspeople were initially wary of the newcomer, but his humble demeanor and determination gradually earned their trust. However, Stanley's attempts to meet women in the town proved fruitless. Most dismissed him with disdain, unimpressed by his simple appearance. Some women openly mocked him, while others laughed in his face when he nervously tried to strike up conversations. "Look at you," one scoffed, "a petty trader thinking he can court someone like me. Go back to your little shack." The rejection stung, and there were days Stanley wondered if he had made a mistake leaving Lagos. One afternoon, Stanley mustered the courage to approach a woman at the market. She was elegant, her laughter ringing out as she bargained with a trader. "Excuse me," Stanley began hesitantly. "I couldn't help but notice you. Could we talk sometime, maybe over a drink?" She turned to him with an incredulous look. "You? Do I look like I'd waste my time on someone like you?" she sneered. Her voice grew louder, drawing attention. "A petty trader asking me out? Please." Stanley flushed with humiliation as passers-by began to snicker. Just as the woman prepared to continue her tirade, a calm but firm voice interrupted. "That's enough," said a young woman stepping forward. Her eyes blazed with quiet anger. "No one deserves to be spoken to like that." The crowd fell silent as she turned to Stanley. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. He nodded, though his voice faltered. "Thank you." The woman turned back to the disrespectful lady. "If you can't say no politely, then maybe you're the one who needs a lesson in decency." The crowd murmured in agreement before dispersing. Stanley felt a rush of gratitude as the young woman introduced herself. "I'm Nkem," she said, offering her hand. "Thank you, Nkem," Stanley replied, shaking it. "I'm Namdi." Her warm smile eased the sting of his earlier embarrassment. "It takes courage to put yourself out there. Don't let one rude person discourage you." From that day on, Stanley and Nkem struck up a friendship. She was a schoolteacher, passionate about her work and well-loved in the community. Nkem admired Stanley's diligence and often stopped by his store to chat. Unlike the others, Nkem never questioned his modest lifestyle or looked down on him. Instead, she appreciated his humility and determination. One evening, as they walked through Mboji's quiet streets, Stanley found himself opening up. "You were the first person to stand up for me here," he admitted. "It's been hard fitting in." Nkem looked at him thoughtfully. "The world can be harsh, but kindness costs nothing. People here just need time to see who you truly are." Their bond deepened as Stanley discovered a kindred spirit in Nkem. Though he had come to Mboji seeking love, he realized he had also found a true friend. Stanley's newfound happiness was tested one fateful day when he witnessed a group of boys bullying a young child near his store. Without hesitation, he intervened, separating the boys and comforting the child. Unbeknownst to him, a wealthy merchant visiting the town had observed his actions. That afternoon, the merchant approached Stanley's store. "Young man, your bravery earlier was admirable," he said. "I'd like to offer you a partnership to expand your business." Stanley hesitated, his mind flashing to Nkem and the simple life he had begun to cherish. "Thank you, sir, but I must decline. I've found fulfillment in what I do here." The merchant looked surprised but nodded. "A rare choice these days. Best of luck, young man." Later, when Stanley shared the encounter with Nkem, her eyes shone with pride. "It takes strength to stay true to yourself. That's something money can't buy." Stanley smiled, realizing he had found more than he had ever hoped for, a life of integrity and a woman who saw the wealth of his heart. As months passed, Stanley and Nkem's relationship flourished. One evening, while they sat beneath a large tree, Stanley felt the weight of his deception. "Nkem," he began, "there's something I must tell you." She looked at him, concern evident in her eyes. "What is it, Namdi?" Taking a deep breath, Stanley confessed, "My real name is Stanley Abaka. I'm not a petty trader but the son of a wealthy family from Lagos. I came here disguised to find someone who would love me for who I am, not for my wealth." Nkem was silent for a moment, processing his words. "So, everything was a lie?" "Not everything," Stanley pleaded. "My feelings for you are genuine. I wanted to be honest before we took any further steps." Tears welled in Nkem's eyes. "I need time to think, Stanley. This is a lot to take in." Weeks passed, and Nkem kept her distance, leaving Stanley in despair. He feared he had lost her trust forever. One morning, a letter arrived for Stanley. It was an invitation to a grand event in Lagos, hosted by the Abaka family. Confused, he decided to attend. Upon arriving at the opulent venue, Stanley was astonished to see Nkem, elegantly dressed, mingling with the guests. She approached him with a smile. "Nkem? What are you doing here?" Stanley asked, bewildered. She laughed softly. "Stanley, there's something you should know. I'm not just a simple teacher from Boji. My full name is Nkem Ezekwe, daughter of Chief Ezekwe, a prominent figure in Lagos. I, too, sought genuine love and disguised myself to find someone who would cherish me for who I am." Stanley stared in disbelief. "So, all this time?" "Yes," Nkem nodded. "We both hid our true identities, seeking the same truth." They shared a moment of realization, understanding the irony of their situation. Both had ventured away from their affluent lives, only to find each other under the guise of simplicity. With their secrets unveiled, Stanley and Nkem's bond grew stronger. They appreciated the lengths each had gone to find genuine love. Their families, initially surprised by the revelations, gave their blessings, recognizing the sincerity of their children's intentions. In a grand ceremony that blended the rich traditions of their heritage, Stanley and Nkem were married. As they stood hand in hand, ready to embark on their new life together, they knew that their love had been tested and proven genuine, untainted by the shadows of wealth or deception. The wedding festivities commenced with the traditional Igbo ceremony, known as the Igbankwu or wine-carrying ceremony. This event was held in Nkem's hometown, with both families gathered to honor their customs. The ceremony began with the presentation of the bride price, a symbolic gesture in Igbo culture. Stanley's family offered gifts, including kola nuts, palm wine, and traditional fabrics, to Nkem's family. These items were carefully selected to show respect and appreciation for the bride's lineage. Nkem, adorned in a vibrant George wrapper and coral beads, gracefully entered the venue. Her beauty was accentuated by the intricate henna designs on her hands and feet. She carried a cup of palm wine, a central element of the ceremony. In accordance with tradition, Nkem searched the crowd to find Stanley. Upon locating him, she offered him the cup, signifying her acceptance of him as her husband. Stanley accepted the drink, and together, they knelt before Nkem's parents to receive their blessings. The atmosphere was filled with jubilation as traditional drummers played rhythmic beats, and guests danced in celebration. The ceremony was a beautiful fusion of customs, symbolizing the union of two families and the beginning of a shared future. Following the traditional rites, the couple proceeded to the church for the white wedding, a term used to describe the Western-style ceremony. The church was adorned with white lilies and gold accents, reflecting elegance and purity. Nkem walked down the aisle in a flowing white gown, her veil cascading gracefully over her shoulders. Stanley stood at the altar, dressed in a tailored suit, his eyes reflecting admiration and love. The officiating pastor led them through their vows, and as they exchanged rings, a sense of profound commitment enveloped them. The congregation erupted in applause as they were pronounced husband and wife. The reception that followed was a grand affair. Guests were treated to a lavish feast featuring both traditional Nigerian dishes and international cuisine. The couple's first dance was a harmonious blend of contemporary music and traditional rhythms, symbolizing their embrace of both modernity and heritage. After the wedding celebrations, Stanley and Nkem embarked on their honeymoon to the serene landscapes of Obudu Mountain Resort in Cross River State. The resort's lush greenery and tranquil ambience provided the perfect backdrop for their first days as a married couple. They spent their days exploring the natural beauty of the area, taking long walks through the forests, and enjoying the panoramic views from the cable cars. Evenings were spent sharing stories by the fireplace, deepening their connection and understanding of each other. During one of their hikes, they stumbled upon a secluded waterfall. Mesmerized by its beauty, they decided to take a dip in the cool waters. As they swam, laughter echoed through the trees, symbolizing the joy and freedom they felt in each other's presence. Upon returning from their honeymoon, Stanley and Kem settled into their new home in Lagos. They chose a modest yet comfortable house, reflecting their shared values of simplicity and authenticity. Stanley decided to expand his provision store business into a supermarket. He set up a big superstore on Busy Street. Kem supported his endeavor, often assisting with the business aspects and staying in the shop sometimes when she comes back from school. Kem resumed her teaching career, dedicating herself to the education of young minds. She found fulfillment in her work and was admired by her students and colleagues alike. One crisp morning, as the sun cast a golden hue over their home, Kem shared news that filled their hearts with joy: they were expecting their first child. The months that followed were a whirlwind of preparations and anticipation. Stanley crafted a beautiful crib from the finest wood, while Kem adorned the nursery with hand-sewn curtains and blankets. The arrival of their daughter brought immeasurable happiness. They named her Euphoma, meaning good thing in Igbo, reflecting the blessing she was to their lives. As they cradled their newborn, Stanley and Kem reflected on their journey, the choices they had made, the challenges they had overcome, and the love that had been their guiding light. They raised their children with the same values that had guided their own lives, instilling in them the importance of integrity, humility, and the pursuit of genuine connections. Their legacy was not one of material wealth but of a rich tapestry of experiences, relationships, and a love that had stood the test of time. In the end, Stanley and Kem discovered that the true essence of life lay not in the accumulation of riches but in the depth of the bonds we form and the love we share, a hidden wealth far more valuable than gold. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please leave a comment below, like this video and subscribe to my channel for more. Bye.